All right, just a few things I want to talk to you guys about. I've had all kinds of handguards that I've bought off Amazon, off Rocky Mountain ATV website, and this is actually the first time I've bought Barkbusters. And I've always avoided Barkbusters because of the price, and there are a lot of other cheap options out there from China, especially on Amazon. I've seen some handguards as low as $50. And the difference between Barkbusters and a lot of the other generic brands, that's what I'm going to call them, just because of the price. The only difference is that there's no difference. I see no difference between the generic brands and the Barkbusters, except for the price. That's the only difference that I see. I thought because these were specifically made for my model bike, that these were gonna, fit a lot better than the generic brands would fit. Because on all the generic brands that I've got, I've even put Tusk handbars on a couple of my other bikes. And with all those generic brands, I've always had to bend these aluminum handguards. I've always had to bend them to make them fit. None of them fit perfectly, but because the Barkbusters, because of their price and because of, them advertising that, these were specifically made for the Suzuki V Strom and the year, I still had to bend them. I still had, problems lining the holes up. I still had to, I had to bend the aluminum handguards, so I can screw everything in. And, the install, I saw no difference. I saw no difference between the Barkbusters and the generic handguards. Absolutely none. The only thing now looking back, on why these were specifically marketed for my model of bike is, I'm thinking is because it came with the bar end weights, and I ended up using the stock weight over what came with the Barkbusters. Just my opinion. The next time I buy handguards, I'm going to stick with the generic ones off Amazon or buy the Tusk brand off of Rocky Mountain ATV, because there really is no difference. And another thing that I don't like about, there's two things I don't like about the Barkbusters. One is the price. The other thing I don't like about the Barkbusters are these Phillips screw heads. They don't seem very secure to me. I don't think Phillips screw heads belong on a motorcycle. And there's more Phillips screw heads right here. They're black, so you can't see it's black on black, but it's just two wooden Phillips screw heads that are holding this plastic extension to the Barkbuster wind guards. If you want to support the channel, please go to my Patreon site, check into that membership, and every month, don't forget, I'm giving away some motorcycle gear. So far on my Patreon site, I only have one member. I'm up to one membership. These are just straight plastic. Like I said, they're labeled as hand guards, but they're really just wind guards because they offer no protection except from the wind. Straight plastic. All right, let's see what's in the box. All right, we got all the clamps. And we got the actual bars. All right, so the Barkbusters, which are specifically made for the V Strom, came with their own bar weight, which is, I weighed this out and this is 129 grams versus the original bar weights, which came in two pieces on the V Strom. And both of these together weigh 196 grams. The bigger piece weighs 138 grams. All right, so the clamp comes with three pieces. This is the actual clamp that clamps around the bar, and then this like L clamp shape, which goes between here and gets screwed in. All right, so I was able to line everything up, except look at the angle of the handbar. It's just straight down, so I'm gonna have to do a little more bending and try to get this thing all lined up perfectly. All right, so now I'm tightening everything down. I seem to have it in the position that I want it in, and this was hard. It wasn't easy lining everything up. I don't even know if this is gonna work yet. I had to move the brake reservoir up to get these cables out of the way. So now I'm seeing if this is actually gonna work. which it does. All right, so mounted this on. I thought I was going to leave this loose. I had to bend the bar to match up with the hole on the arm right here. So I tightened this all down so that I could have leverage with my vice grip to bend this bar. I was able to bend it, not a lot, it was kind of hard. And so I ended up taking the arm off of the clamp. The clamp right here. I took the arm off of it and I mounted the arm to the bar first. And then I put everything inside the clamp and I tightened everything down. And it was a little bit difficult lining it up with this clamp, but I was able to get it in there. And now everything looks level. I'll work on the other side and we'll put the Barkbuster on. So let's go through the order of which I put it on. So I mounted this first. I tried to put this in the position where I wanted it. I tightened this down. Then I took my vice grip and I attached it to here to get leverage to bend the bar. I bent it as much as I could. And then I took the arm and I attached it to the handguard. And I left that loose. And then I attached the arm to the actual clamp. I got everything in there, then I tightened everything down, put this back down, and the cable seemed to be clearing. So it looks like it's going to work out. We'll put the wind guards on and then we'll show you what the finished product looks like. All right, so this part of the clamp is has sharp edges, and it's coming into contact with my brake line and my throttle sensor line. So all I'm going to do is just file all these sharp edges down so it doesn't affect my line from all the vibration and friction and then tear up my wires. It is resting right upon this sharp edge right here, so I'm just going to file it down. Put it back on and I'm almost done. All right, here's the finished product. Looks good. I tried to line it up with my levers as best as I could. That way my levers don't get snagged when the bike goes down. Only a few things notable to talk about is this. I had to use a spacer on this side because of it was contacting my clutch lever. When I pull my clutch lever all the way in, it would contact the side over here. So I had to put the spacer on that side. There's no spacer on that side. I wanted it to be the same, but I just couldn't add the spacer with all these cables right here. It would have just been resting on lifting everything up, and I didn't want it to be contacting my brake hose. So I had to leave the lever off of that side, and there she is. But that was my experience installing the Barkbusters, and that's my experience overall. You know, is you know, you're just paying for the name. Next time I buy handguards, I'm going to stick with the generic brands. And don't forget about the giveaway on the Patreon. I also have exclusive videos on the Patreon that aren't on my YouTube channel, so go ahead and go there and check it out. For $2 a month, you'll be eligible for the giveaway, and I'm giving away the Giant Loop Buck and Roll tank bag. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Like and subscribe.